how I would describe Aina-Nia as a sacred leader. She is bright. She is free. She is courageous. She is daring.
She's really good at helping you see the big picture. She's really good at empowering you to see the big picture, actually. You know, she's really good at that.
The sacrifices that she makes for the woman, she's like really dedicated her life to us. You know, it's a big deal. She's been very, very selfless in the work that she's doing.
If we are well, if we understand how to manage ourselves, if we understand how to lead ourselves, if we understand how to lead our lives, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of those, full alignment with who we are, then the natural things that we do, like teaching our children and teaching our community and teaching our men and teaching our spouse and however that is, if we are whole when we're doing that, if we're fully alive, if we know ourselves, if we're fully aware, if we remember our power, if we know our power, then those who we teach will be leading from that place, from that old place, because that's what they know. What we have created in the Sacred Leaders Training Program is about really stepping into who you are fully, exploring yourself for real, not having somebody explore you, explore yourself, asking yourself those questions that frightens you, being with those thoughts and those emotions that are uncomfortable and moving through them and then stepping into it and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm here to do, and being committed to do it and doing it by any means necessary, not from a place of hurt or shame or doubt or incongruence, but doing it from a place of wholeness.
So what keeps me connected to the sacred women? The training that I took with Aina-Nia, those women are my sisters. We went through a process together. We shared a lot together, and we grew together. So they're my sisters for life. When we get together, it's always like, it's such a great feeling to be with them and see them and continue to watch them grow and manifest their vision and their mission. That is like, oh my gosh, that's so fantastic. And then all the groups that come up behind me, I need to stay connected because this is a powerful group of women who are going places, doing things, and affecting their families and their communities like big, right? So if we can expand this, wow.
Because we know the power of who we are, right? And what we're doing. If never before, you need to raise your consciousness, it is now. Yeah. If never before, you need to be at peace with yourself. I had a similar conversation with the women last night. Go inside, man. It's about ensuring that we are operating at our highest self possible. Because what we're up against now, we need that vibration.
The Sacred Women International started in 2007. I would have circles with groups of women. Sundays, everybody would come to my house on a Sunday. Women, all kinds of women. Sometimes it would be the same women. Sometimes it would be different women. Doing these Sunday brunches for Sacred Women International is really important. Because people often ask where we meet and how often we meet and how can they come when we meet. And so this ministry doesn't have a church, you know. We don't have a temple. We don't have a physical center. And my home tends to be it.
There's a poem, but it's calling him out. So we got up on stage. Not everyone got up stage because some people were holding space, right? Some of us said a couple words, but the woman who was experiencing the abuse said this piece, and it was very powerful. And you could see, like,
oh wow,
yeah,
she said the piece.
She said the piece, and that was important for her in terms of, you know, this was her way of talking about her story, right? Exactly. And you know, the crowd was very much like, everyone knew, right? Because everyone was like, oh, but like, it was that kind of thing where people were like, yeah, you know. And I can't remember if they tried to get us off the stage, but we finished. We completed, and we kind of walked out and we left.
That was the issue. It wasn't about her.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't about her and this particular man. It was about, no, you do not get to go in the community and lead people, and lead young men and lead women and go home and do this. It is, we will not tolerate this. Right? So that was the stance. It was, no, we're not tolerating this. And as black women, we're gonna hold a gap. So whether she wanted to speak out about him or not, we're gonna stand in the gap for those who are not strong enough to.
Right.
And people have done a lot of stuff with him too. People have beat him up in the alley. Like,
I heard
people
that
have done a lot.
Oh, really?
But there's also people that
And there's
support
men,
him
some of
and
them are men,
collaborating with him too, like keeping it hush. Like it was just
people
really-
do keep it hush.
Because
And
that's what
some
we
people,
do.
they
That's
like,
what we do in this community. Men who were out there talking about
Right.
the queen and the goddess and the empress and this, and all they were doing their empress things, right? And the hotep people.
Right.
And so we said, and so I agreed that no, it is not right.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, no, you don't get to go in public and be all Mr. Queen and Empress, and then the woman come home and you beat her down. No, that's not gonna happen, and we're not gonna promote you. And no, and the black community need to start talking about violence against women. So I was completely for that. But when they tell me what they were trying to do, more women from the Caribbean who's coming in, busted up, jaw broken, chest broken, back broken, ribs broken, and this hush that is happening. So I said to her, hey, Sacred Women is here for you.
Was he named? Did you name him? Or was it people understood
He
it was
was
him?
named at one point, but it was quite clear it was him. It was quite clear it was him. It was quite clear.
How was it named?
In the speech, in the poem that she did. Yeah, in the poem that she did.
And probably people knew that it was her
Because of the
partner.
relationship.
I think it's like because he had this track record.
He's
Okay, so that's Norman.
Yeah, and I'm talking about like years of this. I'm not talking about like a couple of
The last two girlfriends or something.
We know who it is.
Many women and women that I was around, specifically black women, who had gone through some kind of trauma, who had experienced violence in their lives. And that violence then had robbed them of who they were, right? And there were so many. Every second woman I was meeting in my work had been affected by violence in some way. Yeah, and there is some statistics that showed that 60% of women before they are 16 would have experienced violence. Well, what I was experiencing was higher than that. And so I thought, how do we then deal with this violence, right? And especially in where I come from, as a black woman, as a woman of the diaspora. And how do we deal with the impacts that was having on women? Because one of the major thing that I saw happening is that it muted them. So women lost their voices. They really lost their voice, in all areas of their lives. And there was this tremendous shame that came with the violence that was upon them. And that shame then created doubt, self-doubt. And then the self-doubt created guilt. They walk with this guilt. And so no matter what they were trying to achieve, because they were vibrating at this very low level, it continuously became a blockage. And they would achieve something and then they would reverse. And it was this cycle.